Hello, and welcome to part 2 of the fretless bass conversion. It's been a little while. The things are a little different now. If you've watched part 1, which I assume you're here from the end of the first video, if not, you're really not missing anything, to be perfectly honest. I made this fretless bass here. Well, I didn't make it, but I converted it. But honestly, that video, I don't know. I mean, it was my first fretless conversion, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And also in terms of videography, I didn't really know what I was doing. Like, I didn't film any part of myself working on it. I just took pictures, and then I made a video and said, "Hey, here it is." And the demo at the end, like, the action was too high. I mean, I fucked it up. I changed a few things. I moved the bridge down here, because for some reason I just thought that's what it was supposed to look like, but honestly, looking closer, plenty of other jazz basses have the bridge more this way, which is where it originally was. You probably can't see, but there's like holes, because it was very badly just filled in and painted over. There are some other, like, I started playing this again recently, and the action was way too high. So I took the neck off, stuck a little shim under there, and now it's much better. But as I started playing it, I realized that I never finished it, like, as in, wood finish. So you probably, oh yeah, you can see, there's little lines there already. I swear I never played this after the last time. So just playing it for like a week, there's already some visible lines in it. And I thought about maybe getting some wood putty, because you can see there's just a pretty bad job of defretting it. Like, a lot of collateral chunks got taken out. So I was going to possibly fill it with wood putty, but it wouldn't match. I think super glue is probably the best way to do this. What else? Oh yeah, the finish. You can probably also see in the light there. I did one layer. I scratched it. I relicked it. And then the paint wasn't thick enough, so I did another coat of paint where I masked off these parts. But now there's pretty bad edges around all these scratches, so I'll probably just try to sand that a bit too. I also just noticed that the nut is a little messy. Ha ha ha. The glue I used, it was like this kind of expanding foamy glue. I don't know why I used that. I might try to scrape some of that off too. But the finishing the neck is the main thing. First things first, today I'm going to do like 1 or 2 layers of glue on the neck here. I'm going to have to take it off because it's going to need to be re-shimmed anyway, if this bridge works. And I also need to use their Allen wrenches, because I forgot, since it was so high, I adjusted these to all be touching flat. And I'd like to raise that up a bit if I can. This was also a little wonky. I fixed this by screwing with it, a little bit. But yeah, I'm just redoing what I should have done 4 years ago. So let's get to it. Alright, here's what we got after the first coat. I went back after I finished filming and forgot there's a few like low spots in here, so I just poured a big old dollop on there. As a side note, this smells horrible. I mean, it's a chemical. It even when you're not breathing it in, it stings your fucking nostrils. That's how powerful it is.
For some updates will be account with a new item, a custom-made Sonic figurine, largely made from a Sonic part from Nintendo. This is a special figurine produced by Nintendo, which could wirelessly interact with game consoles, such as having a character to the game.
Alright, so I'm coming in with some after commentary here, because there's just a lot of sanding. You don't really need to hear what's going on, and between every, I guess, session, for lack of a better word, of sanding, I recorded another little video, and talked about how I thought it was going, but for the sake of brevity, I'm just cutting that out, taking the audio out, and putting this in. So the first one, this is the first layer or sanding or whatever here. I don't recommend doing this indoors. It's just because it was raining, because when you get this dust everywhere, and it's super glue dust, so it smells bad and it's probably really bad for your lungs, and also the fumes from the super glue are really bad. So then this is the second layer. I went outside on my balcony, and I might just cut this short. So this is after the second layer, trying to show it off. Kind of uneven still. A lot of, I think this was the one where I got the brush wet and then I did another layer, so like there was water mixed with glue and it got all weird and it's all white and tacky, and yeah, no, not thumbs up, this is bad. And then I came the next morning so you can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, this is again just sanding. Okay, so I also forgot, I ended up over sanding it a bit, and at first I was kind of bummed out about it, but then I realized that since the base is supposed to be relic anyway, it kind of works. But those white spots you can see, that's what that is. Sorry. That's just over sanding. If I do another one of these, I'll have to be more mindful of that. And then what I'm showing there is the white dust in the cracks, because when I did the veneer, like everything about this, just I did a bad job, but the veneer was kind of lower than it needed to be, so it wasn't flush with the fretboard, and so with the cracks, when I was sanding it, some of the dust, some of the super glue dust got in there. Next day, it was a little colder, that's why I'm wearing the jacket. I don't think there's anything really remarkable in this one. Oh, you know what? I didn't have strong enough or coarse enough sandpaper, so I went out and got 100 grit, because I was working with some leftover 140 grit, but it was old and the sand kept coming off of it, so I got some 100 grit, except then there's all these little scratches, because apparently 100 was too coarse. Like you can see those scratches there. Really fucked it up, but luckily I was able to just get that sanded out. And there's another spot that showed up from aggressive sanding. Again, it worked out for me in the end, I think, but yeah, I really didn't feel like I was being that aggressive with sanding, but evidently I was. But then yeah, I had to go back and use the 400 grit again, and I kept having to use new pieces of 400 grit sandpaper because it kept filling up with dust, and I feel like I was wearing out the sand from the sandpaper. This is, what is this? Just showing the low spots? Yeah, okay, I'm showing off the low spots that I stopped there instead of sanding it completely naked like I'd been doing. So, okay, this is when I started working on the body. I had to like unscrew everything, and I finally realized, by the way, that was not a great camera angle, so I moved the camera. So there I'm unscrewing everything and trying to sand out, fix the edges with the the masking, but unfortunately I got rid of the glossiness of the paint, and now it's like a lighter shade of pink too. I mean, I got rid of those masked edges, but oh yeah, also when I wet sanded it, it turned into like pink paste that filled in all the chips, so I kept having to dig that out, which is unfortunate. This here, finally get a good angle on the neck. It's just the same process I've been doing, sanding it, gluing it, sanding it, and you can actually see if you look closely the white spots. There's more and more of them because pretty much every time I sanded it, I over sanded it. I think this is the one where I said I finally felt like I was doing it right, or no? Okay, now this was like, yeah, I don't have coarse enough. Oh yeah, I think after this I went and got two, like 180 grit, because 100 was too coarse, but 400 wasn't coarse enough. And I got 180 grit, and then that solved a lot of the problems. I'm finally using the 800 grit too. Because up until that point I only used the 400, but since I felt like I was approaching being done, I used 800 grit, and then the sound's gonna come back on here. So enjoy some tape peeling ASMR.
Go back to Japan I say we do that. Sing the Belleville Rendezvous song from the opening. Further from it, or are you? That should be an in-game item, the soul of a beautiful day. What if you're toward your left? Or... Oh. No. Back this way? Ah, yeah. The way they move is very disturbing. Alright, he runs. Oh my god, dude. Keep him in your sights. Fuck, another thing!
Alright, it looks like I have finally gotten it smooth. There's a few spots, is it this one? Somewhere along here, one of these dots accidentally roughed it up a little bit, and I think along the edge here, right about there, it's also a little roughed up, but other than that, this thing is like beautifully silky smooth. Yeah, just gotta put it back together now. So, looks like I got it perfect. Like, just raising this up a bit, I look at it, and it's like exactly flat all the way down the length of the neck.
So good job to me. I just gotta restring the rest of these. I also didn't realize how bad that camera angle is. Oh well. Let me put in the other 2 screws and tighten them all up. That's so easy to play. Huh. The action's low. The fretboard is smooth. Man.